Presented by That Time I Got Reincarnated in the same world as an anime podcaster, this is Shonen Jumping the Gun, the show where we set our sights on the first chapter of a manga and decide if it's a misfire or a bullseye.
Let's see how many rounds are in this magazine.
On today's episode of Shonen Jumping the Gun, nothing.
Psych!
Hose! Welcome, everybody. I am Kermit the Grog. I was about to say, my name's Kermit Jumping the Gun. I am your expert Esper, joined by my psychic shoplifter, Isekai Sensei Sama Brad. Brad, how you doing?
Why are we recording?
It's really funny to me that this episode is probably going to come out before our Super Psychic Policeman Shoujo.
Oh, it definitely will.
That's really funny to me. Welcome, everybody. As you heard, or maybe if you could discern it, we are covering the new Shonen Jump series, Psych House.
Psych!
There's no punctuation. It's just two words. Psych House.
We are doing Psych House.
We are doing Psych House. There's no fake out. There's no psych.
We should maybe call it Psychic House, or else we're gonna do this the whole time.
Too bad they called it Psych House. We can't rename it. That's what it's called. This series just dropped yesterday at time of recording. May 12th, 2024. So we are hot off the presses.
Even though this episode's not gonna come out for like 2 weeks.
But we aren't. We're here in the now. We're recording. I have no future vision. It doesn't exist. Chapter 2 has probably not even been inked yet. I mean, maybe. I don't know the time scale.
Yeah, they're probably just pencil drawings right now.
Maybe, yeah. And with that, let's get into my Kermit's patented speedrun summary. We see a child with a bucket on his head as we, the reader, are asked if we got supernatural powers, how would we change our lives? The boy is awakened by an alarm, and he runs off in a panic. Cut to the opening title splash. Psych. I just want to keep going. Psych. Hose. Listener, if you're in a space that you can just shout that out loud, I ask of you, I beg of you, just do it. Psych. Hose. Brad, hit me your ears before I continue.
No, I'm not gonna.
Okay.
Psych.
Oh!
House.
See, is that great? It's great, people. Come on.
Fucking stupid.
We're in a class with, I don't think I have a femme version of Protag Kuner MC San. Femshep enters as students
Chan.
remarked she missed first period again. What?
Chan.
Chan? Just Chan it? MC Chan?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I like that I just wrote Femshep with the intention that I was going to come back, and then I just left it as Femshep. Sure, fine, whatever. MC Chan enters as students remarked she missed first period again. She was at work and already figured out she can skip 2 more if she aces all her tests, which she is confidently saying that she will do. This is Kotone, or our protagonist. A transfer student who is even more truant than her is mentioned, but then class starts. Kotone sees a bucket crawl into class. Wait, that's the bucket from the first page! It clambers over to the empty seat next to her, and out pops a boy. Hey, that's the boy from the first page! It's all very confusing and mysterious as he plays off that he's been there the whole time, and introduces himself as Nomura Suya. Cut to lunch as Kotone eats lunch with her gal pals, or more like she doesn't eat. Diet, she says. Kotone wants to ask about the weirdness with Nomura, but doesn't. Kotone is then asked to do her trick again. She takes out her phone and makes it disappear, reappearing it in her friend's pocket. I'm sure that won't be important and wasn't just a fun little character moment.
I mean, it's not magic. It's just an illusion.
It's just manga. It was there one frame, and then the author decided to not draw the next frame. Weirdo Nomura appears and asks if they've heard of any supernatural occurrences occurring lately. It's like his job or something. You can tell I've listened to one of the summaries you wrote recently because I'm trying to punch this up because I'm so just in awe of them. One of Kotone's friends mentions things disappearing from the shelves of a nearby convenience store, like literally poofing and gone from the shelves.
Konbini.
What?
Konbini.
Konbini? What does that mean?
Convenience store.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It's a B sound?
There's so many words in Japanese
Oh,
that
I know.
just sound like they're making fun of Japanese.
That one even
speakers.
I wouldn't have gone to that one as that saying, but I believe you. Nomura says it's a good lead and wanders off. Weird. After school, the friends split, with the two mentioning they still don't feel like they know Kotone. Kotone, stomach growling with hunger in front of the convenience store. She's starving and wants food, but no money. Very broke. Eto. That's not cute. I don't know why I put Eto in there. Nomura appears. And
Also,
asks,
that just means
does it?
yeah.
Oh, maybe it's just weebs doing it. I'm just like, aha, I screwed up. Eto. And they do little.
Yeah,
clunk
it's
on the head.
like when we say or
Yeah,
or
that makes sense.
yeah. Eto.
Nomura appears and asks if she's here because of the mystery, but Kotone says she's busy with work stuff and leaves quickly, which makes Nomura be like, what's up with that?
Very interesting.
His hat says detective mode on it at that moment, which I thought was a really cute touch.
His hat.
His bucket hat. He's been wearing the bucket. No, it's not a bucket hat, people. Not from the 90s or the 2000s. Like literally a metal bucket.
Yeah.
Work stuff is actually visiting her sick mom in the hospital. She's been there for half a year already. Kotone doesn't have work tonight, but is starving. She hasn't eaten in 2 days. So hungry. She reaches out her hand. We see the convenience store, and the rice ball's on the shelf, but then, poof, it's in Kotone's hand outside of the store. Nomura sees it and puts two and two together. She's the source of the disappearances, but Kotone tries to play it off that she's just bought it and nothing weird happened. Nomura says she has special powers, and so does he. They're called espers. Psych! They're actually called psychs. At least Moa calls them that. This Moa character is mentioned a few times by Nomura.
Yeah.
Nomura goes on to explain that they aren't a complete secret and that the government knows about them, so she could get caught. Kotone hucks the rice ball at him and flees, teleporting stuff at him as he makes chase. Once Kotone is hiding for a little bit, we flash back to when Kotone's mom was well, telling her daughter that she should go to school and do right by herself and others. I think we also get mentioned a debt, I think, at that point.
Yeah, dad's debt or something
Dad's
like that.
debt.
Yeah.
She should get a part-time job and spend the money how she wants. Cut back to now, Nomura catches up despite everything being teleport thrown at him, until finally Kotone accidentally teleport throws a car instead of some grass. Oh snap, is she gonna crush this child? No. Because Nomura grows in size and catches the car just fine, and captures Kotone under his now giant bucket.
And that panel...
I was just going to say, I love the panel.
so
It was really
good.
confusing at first, and then I was just like, this is one of the best panels ever, because you just see a shot, like there's somebody standing around, and just it's a shot of a neighborhood, and then the next frame, the exact same size as that shot, is just Nomura is now big, coming from behind like the house
holding
line.
a car in his hand. It was
It
like...
is so perfect.
Oh
It's
my
like, you know what
God.
you're doing, bud.
It's great.
Kotone breaks down about her lack of money and paying off her father's debts, but now her mom is in a coma. Nomura offers a supportive hand. He was looking into supernatural stuff to find and help Psychs. Not Psych, he's being honest about that. In fact, they have a house, a Psych house, that Kotone can move into free of charge, and who knows, maybe they'll meet a Psych that can heal her mom from her coma. Kotone goes back to the convenience store and apologizes about the shoplifting. But then Nomura spills the beans about why she's shoplifting because he thinks she won't. The shopkeeper leaves and returns with a big bag of rice balls for her. She's a kid and should ask for help when struggling.
Which that was just great.
I love that.
That was
that
just
really
perfect.
made my heart be like,
Yeah.
aw. Supposedly Japanese teens, divided on it, unsure. Stealing is wrong in every circumstance, always, all the time. Nomura and Kotone walk and talk about moving into the Psych house and how Kotone is a good person that should work on being able to get help from others. Two characters are teased. One, the mysterious Moa, that the house has a new resident, and we end with our first actual look at the house.
The end.
The end.
Not Psych.
Not Psych. Chapter 1. You know, when I first read it, I was like, this is fine. But kind of, and maybe it's just the joy of going through the summary again, I kind of think I like this more than I thought I liked it.
I fucking loved this.
Really?
I thought this was so good. The, it starts out a little bit slow. You get this like, oh, okay, there's and these kids in school and everything. And then when he comes in with the bucket, which you have no idea what's going on yet, but we find out that he had shrunk himself, but not the bucket. And his powers allow him to grow or shrink anything. And so like he shrunk himself and I guess his clothes to sneak into the room under the bucket and then made himself bigger at his desk.
Yeah, that the frames of like the bucket crawls in and then it's empty desk and then with like other students around and then kid with desk, like they do that shot a lot and it works really well. Maybe that's just how anytime he uses his power, it's like, here it is, the regular size, and here is him changing his size to whatever he's changing size to.
But the starting there was the because before that it's like, okay, you know, maybe we're doing slice of life or whatever's going on here. You know, I'm sure there's something going on because
like it hadn't kicked into whatever it was. I was getting a little Ruri Dragon vibes.
Yeah, but when that scene happened, I was like, oh, okay, what's going on here?
Yeah,
and then when she makes the phone disappear, it was like, okay. And then they're talking about... Is she
like a magician, like not with magic powers, just like... Because I just assumed, he's going to have magic powers and she's just a smart kid and they're going to team up and solve problems. Not that she also had powers.
You get the stuff about the rice balls and like it just drips you these little things over and over again. And I love the way that it visual,
like I tried to capture some of it in my description, but like when she steals it, she is just outside reaching her hand out, and then you get a frame of the store itself, and then the shelf of rice balls, and then you cut back to her with the rice ball in hand. And I think if that was an anime, it would be like just another shot and displaying information. But as a manga, there's just something about that was like just really visually satisfying to like lead you to where you wanted. Like, it's not like, here's the shelf of rice balls. Oh no, poof, one disappeared. It was just like, you saw that earlier to sell, like, we got this on video. It's not like somebody's stealing them when nobody's looking. It was like to show to you they're literally poofing from the shelves, which also means they taught you the concept of what's going on. But like, I'm coming around on this. Like, I didn't hate it, but I wasn't like, I was just like fine on it. But now that I've re-gone through the summary, I'm like, yeah, I'm kind of actually excited about this.
But the thing is that they're dripping you this stuff over and over, and then you get to what you think is like the big thing of, you see that she has these like teleport powers, or whatever, telekinesis, or it's not telekinesis because she's teleporting things.
It's teleporting,
but like, is it just objects? Anyway, so you're like, oh, that's the big reveal, and then the kid starts chasing her. And she starts doing that stuff again, and you're like, okay, this is
like
cool,
teleporting
fun.
Grass into his face, which is like, I guess I never thought about that as a way to use teleportation powers. And I'm like, that's neat.
But then when she does the car, and it's like, oh my God. And then all of a sudden he's giant. And that panel
is so good.
Where you get the establishing shot of just the guys walking down the street, and you see trees off in the distance, and there's like houses or whatever. And then the next panel, which is exactly the same, except the guy is going, oh, and there's a giant kid.
Child, yeah.
And as soon as that happened, I was like, sold to the highest bidder.
Wow.
I am down. This is excellent. I thought this was so good. It's cute and wholesome.
It is very cute and wholesome.
And it's well drawn.
Yep.
The dialogue is good. I think the concept is interesting. I can't wait to meet these other characters. Just everything about it. I was just like, yes, this is my shit.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah, Brad. I don't think I've seen you get this excited on this podcast in a long while.
As soon as I read this, I was like, I can't wait to record this one.
Your joy is flowing through me. I feel almost bad because I know when I read it, I was like, I'm one step above neutral towards positivity. I didn't hate it. I had nothing wrong with it. It just felt so...
There's nothing...
Fuzzy and nothing. But like I said, like I reread it this morning to write the summary. And after rereading it, and reading the summary, I'm like, yeah, a bunch of interesting stuff happened. Because like I really tried to hone it down. But like, I don't know. It made the connection. I like having a female protagonist who seems like she's got her shit... Not her shit together, but like... who seems capable.
Yeah, not just like, oh, it's a girl, but like, hey, this is someone who has stuff going on.
Yeah.
I would say there's nothing in this that's particularly like, oh my God, it's going to be a huge, big, world-spanning thing, mystery. But like the idea of like, it's supernatural power kind of thing, but they're going to be in this house and it's going to be interpersonal. And how are these powers going to clash? And how are they going to get along with each other? Are things going to come up that they have to deal with? Or are they just going to stay in the house and do like, there's so many different ways this can go.
It's an open toy box.
Yes. As opposed to so many other series that we cover here, and I rattle off the standard tropes of the series. I don't know what's going to happen here. because slice of life stuff doesn't have those tropes. There's definitely like some romance slice of life stuff that has like, oh, you'll go through these particular things, but especially something like this where it's like there's not going to be romance in here. These are young high school or middle schoolers.
Other characters could show up.
That's
true. You haven't read Witch Watch, but Witch Watch is a toy box of genres and like, hey, we added somebody new to the house. That means we have all these new things we can do and figuring their stuff out and the way they interact with the other ones. Like, their structures here. You're just not reading those series and Jump to know what those structures are, but I also don't know them well enough to go like, and this will happen, the way that you've done for the other ones and been generally right. Yeah. It's sometimes I feel like when you don't know what happens next, that can be like negative. I feel like it's like, I don't know what's going to happen next, derogatory, or I don't know what's going to happen next, excitement.
Yeah.
It's like the spin on that phrase. And I feel like here is like, we're given an open, like, could we spend time are we going to settle in the house for a while? We have to meet a bunch of people. Are we going to go out and find other espers? It's like, because like, I love supernaturally mysteries to solve.
Yeah.
Like, I was genuinely not like, whoa, big shock, but like shocked of like, oh, she's the shoplifter. I thought it's like, oh, she's going to work together with the boy to figure out the shoplifting thing, and it was going to be somebody else. But I thought it was really interesting it was her, and it's like, well, all the pieces were there, and it made sense, but then you felt like how many panels you see her where it's like, she's starving. The fact that she says, like, the last thing I ate was, like, candy 2 days ago, and it's like, sweetie.
Well, and that's the other thing is, like, I feel like this was put together so well. Just set up for everything. Like you said, like, you get hints of what's going on. And it's not like it's such a big mystery that when you get the payoff, you're like, oh my God.
Exactly. It's not like the biggest thing, but like, and I like how it's just like, she's just standing at arm reach, like, and it's just like, you're hungry and you want food. And then and those shots of like, she must be thinking about that. And then the rice balls, and I'm like, neat. Like, it's just,
But also that thing of, kids where you're like, what are you doing? Yeah. Ask someone for help. Your primary caregiver is unable to help you. What are you doing?
Because that's why she has to help herself, because she's like, I have to be strong for mom because mom can't be strong for me, and that's learned stuff like that. So I'm rooting for her. I'm rooting for Katone. Bucket Kid's weird. I definitely got the vibe with Bucket Kid and Nomura that like when you hear psychic powers and it's like, oh, a metal hat. It's like the tinfoil hat. And I wonder if that's it or not. I mean, I love the bucket way more than tinfoil because it's so much more specific.
I think he's just a weirdo.
I think he's also just weird, but I like the idea that he uses when he gets big, the bucket gets big with him, and he uses the bucket to trap her.
Yeah.
And like, if you're going out to catch psychs, I was literally about to say espers because I'd rather call them that. At least psychics. Come on, people. First we get necromance, and then we get psych. Necromancer, psychic.
Yeah.
Astra Royale with cheese. But no, your positivity is infectious, Brad. I think I have to go back and change my vote feelings on this.
Well, there's only one chapter, so you're allowed to do that.
Yeah, I am. I have time. I have the rest of the week to think on this.
Again, it's not like, oh, this is the most amazing, intriguing kind of thing, but like, it's so nice. It made me feel a whole spectrum of emotions, and that's what I want out of my stories.
Have we gotten a new series that was wholesome? I want to say from memory, the closest we've gotten was Ruri Dragon coming back.
Ruri Dragon has some wholesome stuff.
Yes, but I don't think I don't think it's the same kind.
I don't know.
Main guy from Asherelle is a good boy, but not enough.
Right.
It's not a cutesy wholesome series.
Yeah, that series isn't wholesome. You sort of got to take the whole thing together. No, I don't think so.
It's nice. It's a nice change of pace.
It's the kind of thing that I'm all about. These are the there's a bunch of different series. Actually, I think the one I'm thinking of, Kubo-san Won't Let Me Be Invisible. If anybody's heard of that, but there's
the title,
and Komi Can't Communicate is another one where it's like there's slice of life, they're wholesome, there's comedy in it, there's a little drama just to like get you in there, but then it resolves itself nicely and everything. Like those are the things that I latch onto so much.
Brad, I genuinely think you would love Witch Watch.
I mean, probably.
Because that's got a lot of that. Witch Watch is
But there's a lot of chapters.
There's a lot of Witch Watch. Just start wading in. If it gets to you, don't try to shove it in your mouth all at once, even though I know you will do that because I do that too, and then I burn it. But genuinely promise you, I think you'll have a good time. We'll cover it here. That'll get you at least to start chapter 1.
That's true.
That's why I do it. It should get an anime. It's so much fun.
And there's something to be said there. So anybody who's listening to this, there should only be 2 chapters out by the time you're hearing, maybe 3. By the time you're hearing this, get on there, check it out. It's very low bar.
It's cute.
Starting out.
Yeah.
And, when you get in early, it makes it so much easier to just keep going week to week. I did want to say specifically about sort of the comedy of this because, and this episode isn't out yet, but Super Psychic Policeman Shoujo, which we touched on a little bit.
We did. I had to mention it because I thought it was really funny that another psychic thing was going to come out and we were going to put it out before that episode, even though we recorded it a month ago.
But that one is very specifically a gag manga.
That is a gag manga. And not just a comedy manga, but a gag manga.
And while there are parts in there that are funny, I am completely admitting that, I found my personal thought on that was I sort of wish it played things more straight. I wish it didn't purport itself to be a gag manga because
I like that. I want the more full tilt absurdity.
No, that's my thing.
Because it's like if you're doing a gag manga, you have to crank it to 11 because regular comedy is done very well in all the other genres now.
Which is why I'm saying Shoujo shouldn't say it's a gag manga. It should make itself be a little bit more serious and then put those funny bits in because when it comes to me and says, "Hey, I'm a gag manga," and it doesn't give me a laugh on every page.
We call it that. Yeah,
I go,
Roboco has been doing. Roboco's been freaking killing it recently. Yeah. Okay, we're getting distracted.
No, but the point I'm trying to make here is that this series, Psych House, has comedic bits in it that made me laugh out loud. I laughed out loud more in this first chapter of Psych House than I did in the past 2 chapters of Shoujo.
Yeah, I could see that. Admittedly, at time of recording, Shoujo's recent chapters have been more like a set of story beats instead of just here's a funny, insane situation.
And I sort of want them to lean more into that. I don't dislike Shoujo.
I think gag manga find their feet over time. I think that's why Roboco is killing it right now because it just can do whatever it wants. Right. And I think that's when, once you've settled a baseline, then you can start pulling at it more.
But I feel like comedic moments hit more when the series isn't telling you, "Hey, I'm comedic the whole time." I'm reading Shoujo and I'm expecting for something to be funny all the time, and when it's not, it's a disappointment. Even though it's good, it's a good series. I shouldn't be disappointed.
This feels like an episode.
Yeah, probably.
Because I definitely have more stuff on this, and it does not belong in Psych House.
Yeah, it has to do with what does a series tell you it is?
Yeah,
and so you set up expectations.
It's vibe.
For it.
Yeah.
Mama Yu Yu had a huge problem with that at the beginning.
Gosh, Mama Yu Yu.
So, all that to say, I thought this had a lot of funny moments. I thought it was really well done. I guess I think I said this before. The art is well done.
Art's great. I like the art a lot.
It's not super realistic or anything
like that,
but it stays on model the whole time. It looks like
charming. Characters are easily identifiable between them. I like that she has her 2 friends and both of them have a clear visual design to them without being protagonist.
It was very professionally drawn. Yep. So just all around, I'm just this is great.
This may be a Mr. Snip-Nip, I'm going to jail observation, but our main Huaren Katone, the manga panel camera never pays attention to it, but she got some tatters and a short skirt, and I'm like,
Oh, really?
You notice?
No.
I'm going to jail.
Well, I mean, the short skirt, that's sort of a standard.
But it seemed shorter than everybody else's? I don't know.
I guess I wasn't paying attention.
I'm going to jail, Brad.
Okay. I'll bail you out.
With that, Truxan, bail us out now and telling us our rules of the range for voting on this. Hey everybody, it's me, it's Truxan, your friendly neighborhood Truxan. It's Truxan's Rule of Range. So we're at the bottom, we got Dead Walking, Dead in 20 chapters or less. An early grave, like Do Retrial or Candy Flurry. Next up from that, we got a flop. Granted a stay of execution, under 50 chapters, like a Fabricant 100 or a Doron Dororon, whatever that is. Next up is It'll Live. Hangs on just past flop zone, sub 120 chapters like PPPPPP or Magu-chan. Then we got Solid. Series that does well but hasn't reached its true popularity, like an Akane Banache or Undead Unluck. Can get an anime. Then we got the hit, truly popular with an anime and hundreds of chapters, like a Black Clover and Assassination Classroom. And finally, oh my gosh, the Supernova, industry shaker and shaper. Readers want to be with them, other manga want to be like them, like a Demon Slayer, Jujutsu Kaisen. And that's Truxan's Rules of the Range. Back to you.
Great, thanks, Truxan.
So, Brad, what is your vote for Psych House? And please do not fake me out. I'm getting really tired of that bit.
So here's the deal. I really, really like this.
Yep.
But that's not what this first vote is for.
Nope. That's not what vote is for.
And I would love to call this a hit. I'm not delusional and think this is a supernova.
No.
But I personally think it's good enough that it should be a hit. I don't think it's going to be, though. So I'm going to give it a solid.
Solid? I originally gave this an It'll Live. I think I'm going to stay there. I think my feelings will change. I think my vote's going to stay put.
I think that makes sense. Yeah.
I can't trust Japanese teens anymore. Right. I found this very charming. I also know at some points I felt it, and from what little vibrations I've heard so far, is like parts of it do feel a little like kiddie. A little bit.
I think that's fine. It's a magazine for teenagers.
We're adults, but childish things to teenagers. I don't know anymore. F those teens. That's what I say. They can't hear this. They don't know what I'm saying.
Why don't you go hang out in your Combini?
Go to your Don Quixote.
That said,
what do you feel about this?
My feeling on this.
Oh, shoot. Is it a break glass?
No.
No, not
amazing.
that much. Okay. Yeah, that's fine. I
Which
agree.
is still, that's...
I'm so glad we have a mark in the wall that says this is the gag entry for, like, if anything. And it continues to be that. Unrelated to what we're talking about, update on Astro Baby. It's still the best.
As positive as I am on things...
Yeah.
I also tend to be a realistic getting to extremes.
Yep.
So it's very unlikely that I will ever say supernova or murdering people.
I don't think I'll ever say supernova. I mean, I did say murdering people on feelings, but that's because I get to be more frivolous with it. I don't know if I could. I genuinely really want to do a first chapter of one that is a supernova and go and specifically approach it with no gimmick and just go, could we see it?
Yeah.
It's like Demon Slayer. Let's read the first chapter of Demon Slayer and go, could we see this?
Demon Slayer, we would go, what the
that's what I'm going to say. That's what I want to say. I want to bring that energy here to say that when we read any of these, to go, any of these could be good of a super hit. We would never know.
Now, all of that said...
I don't get to talk about my emotions?
Oh, didn't you just say... Oh, no, you didn't. No.
I didn't.
Yeah.
Originally, I gave this it's fine, which I think is one of the first times I've done that. I'm moving up to good. I'm moving up to good. On the verge of great.
You say psych right now.
I was very neutral on it before, and I've definitely improved on it, but I think I'm going to sit it good.
That's interesting that there's something there that it just didn't quite grab you the first time.
No, and there was like genuinely nothing wrong with it. I just felt true neutral. With like a singular breath towards positive.
That's so interesting because it made me happy.
It was like a cream puff, but not one that had been sugared that much. It was like eating slightly sugared air.
Yeah,
but now, like I said, talking about it and rereading it and writing the summary was like, oh, I actually had a really good time with this. There's a lot going on.
So, little bit of spoilers for an episode that we recorded before this, but will be coming out in like
after
a month. Kyoku. What was it? Kyoku? Necromance?
Kyoto Necromance.
Whatever. I read that one first, and I read this one second.
Yeah.
And when I read Necromance, I was like, and I said this in the episode, I was like, oh, are we doing this again? And I wasn't.
Yeah.
It wasn't like, oh, this is bad. And I don't want to spoil that too much, so I'll stop there. But then I read this one, and I was literally grinning.
That's great.
And I was like, oh, I'm happy.
Mob Psycho has trained us when we see psychic powers to get real hype and excited.
Especially
and happy.
cutie psychic powers.
Yeah.
They're so cute.
Struggle. So would you keep reading it?
Yeah,
I think,
definitely. Yeah.
Originally,
I wish I could go home and read more of it right now.
You can't. This again, I've changed my mind rereading and talking to you now. This was the first time I used my would you spend money on it, even though I was going to keep reading, and the answer was no. If you go look at Flop Pool right now, you will see continue to read Kermit the Grog. No. And I have to update that because I have time to do that. Because I've changed my mind. Because before I was just like, yeah, I'm going to keep reading it on the app, but if I had to pay money for this, I wouldn't. And now I'm charmed.
I will buy the volumes.
You're gonna Frere in this?
When the anime comes out, I'll buy the Blu-ray.
What a hopeful man this is in front of me.
I hope to God, because it's
hope spot.
So cute. Now, I mean, they could ruin the anime, obviously, but
anything can be ruined if you try not hard enough.
But it's I don't know.
Maybe you try too hard and that ruins it. What was that? Hi, continue.
This pushes all my buttons.
I'm glad.
Actually, no, that's not true. I do have like romance and horny buttons that this does not press, but
for the best.
All of the normal out in the open buttons.
Out in the open, I like
the comedy and the mystery and the
public
intrigue
consumption buttons
and the cuteness and all that. Yeah.
I'm excited. So I feel like we are both very positive on Psych House. Your pick of the litter, pick of this clutch. I don't know why I've been calling them like eggs, but like I guess because they hatch at different times.
I like Astro Royale. I really hope that it does good. Some people are really down on it right now, which I disagree with them. But like this one is definitely number one of this batch.
Okay, interesting. Excited to check in, and we still have to check in on the last batch or 2 batches ago, I guess at this point, because last batch we haven't released those episodes yet, even though we recorded them ages ago.
Yeah.
So.
Which does make me wonder, we need to do something at some point where we are autopsying, but we also need to check back on ones that are still going.
I think the autopsy episode, we just check in with everybody that we've covered that we want to talk about.
Yeah.
That feels worthwhile. So maybe we'll cook on that then for a special episode.
Maybe there's something in like scoring target practice or something.
Ooh.
We got to workshop
some of
that.
those you need to wait longer for it to really check in.
Yeah.
So thank you everybody again for listening. This has been Shonen Jumping the Gun with Psych House. And Brad, fill me full of lead. Arr.
Well, as always, we want to thank Segoy Mart for partnering with us.
Thanks, Segoy Mart.
Segoy Mart's a retailer of Japanese snacks, drinks, toys, and merch, and they've got a lot of cool stuff you can't get outside Japan. Our listeners can check the link in the description or use code APR15 at checkout to get 15% off their first order, which also helps us out. And we want to know what people think, so hit us up on social media, which you can find all the links for on our website, animepodcasterreincarnation.com. And you can also find the episode posts for these podcast episodes where you can leave comments. Or you can just join us on Discord and let us know what you think on there.
Woo!
We've got a bunch of people on there now, and we're always having good conversations. And don't forget to check us out on Patreon. Our supporters get perks like getting to vote on which series we cover on heroin addiction, getting the high-quality stereo version of the podcast early, and also bonus episodes, which everybody gets. All tiers get the bonus episodes, so make sure you check that out. And, of course, we want to shout out our patrons. At our Reincarnator tier, we've got Moon and Kickdwarf. At our Merchant tier, we've got Kill Hour. And last but not least, at our Commoner tier, we've got Rena. So thanks so much to our patrons.
Thank you, everybody, again, for listening. Make sure you listen to our mainline podcast, That Time I Got Reincarnated in the Same World as an Anime Podcaster. And Brad, truly as our outro, if you had super psychic powers, what would they be?
Put me on the spot for that one.
Yep.
I think I would like it if I could really dominate people. Psych! Okay.
Okay. On today's episode, Psych House. I didn't get low enough on that.
Oh, no.
No.
On today's episode, Goku Necromance. Psych House! It doesn't fit the manga at all.
No! Fuck that! Is this a manga about the hit USA show Psych and all of the characters living in a house together? We see a child with a bucket on his head. As we, the reader, are asked if we got supernatural powers, how would we change our lives? I'm going to take another run at that.
You do that. Psych!
Psych! Kotone sees a bucket crawl into class. Wait, that's the bucket from the first page! It clambers over to the empty seat yesterday. What was I on when I wrote these? Like, I wrote this morning, and I don't remember goo coming out of my brain. I'm going to take another run at the sentence. Cut to lunch as Kotone eats lunch with her gal pals, or more like she doesn't eat. Diet, she says. Kotone wants to ask about the weirdness with the Nomura, but doesn't. With the Nomura... What the... Brad, I swear, and I typed this with my keyboard and not on my phone. I can't say fat fingering or autocomplete. Nomura sees it and puts two and two together. She's the source of the disappearances, but Kotone tries to play it off that she just bought it and nothing weird happened. Nomura says she has special powers, and so does he. They're called Psychs! At least Moa calls them that. I really should have said something else and then said Psychs! They're Psych.
They're called Espers.
Psych! They're called Psychs. I'm going to do another run out to do that actual for reals.
The end of after the beeps of this episode is going to be
longer than the episode. But with that, thank you, everybody. That has been Psych House. Now, Brad, hit me with that Chicago typewriter and put me full of lead. F. Don't do that. When I was walking this morning, listening to... This is all getting cut and or beeped. When I was listening to the Marriage Chucks episode, I go to the end and I think it's where I think around them I'm trying to figure out a new way to say it because I didn't like the plugs. I hated saying that. But that's what it was, and then we had Fill Me Full of Lead, and I was like, what's another way I can say to, like, shoot me a bunch? And I'm like, oh, use the Chicago typewriter, which is a Tommy gun. But it's like, from your reaction, it's like, that ain't working, Haas.
I think I would like it if I could really dominate people. Psych!
I got really worried there. I was like, what is he talking about? Weird. Public-facing buttons, Brad. Public-facing.
I saw the opportunity for one last one.
Thank you. I appreciate it because I already forgot about that bit, and it was perfect because I got duped. Really, I'm very easily duped, Brad. Just how it goes.